Jared, seriously, I mean, didn't we learn from history, the collapse of the Soviet Union, Mao's China? How much of your party is really flirting with the idea of socialism right now?
Maybe half of 1%. I think this is really just a kind of a silly exaggeration. We always have an economy. We've always had an economy. We always will have an economy that's part capitalism and part government providing lots of services where markets fail. In fact, you can't find an advanced economy that isn't some mixture of capitalist and, if you want to call it, socialist programs, what I would think of it as the government playing a role to offset market failures. It is definitely true, if you want to talk about the reality of the Democratic agenda, that they want to raise more revenues by going after those to the very top of the scale, going after wealth concentration, and they want to spend some of those revenues on progressive programs. That's actually characteristic of many decades of American history. It's not socialism.
Jimmy,
Jared.
I mean, should we be distinguishing between redistribution and socialism?
Listen, I just want to make a clear point that the leading thinkfluential in the Democratic Party is a socialist. I mean, that's just the reality.
You're
Someone
talking Bernie
who would
Sanders?
raise top tax. No, I'm talking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the she's the leading. AOC is the leading thinkfluential, obviously, and she doesn't think you should be a billionaire.
By the way, because she's a
That's right,
29-year-old
thinkfluential.
freshman congressman who a year ago nobody knew. What is a thinkfluential?
Right. She's on every show. She's driving the agenda, whether it's the Green New Deal, whether it's talking about 70% tax rates. Listen, I'm not going to debate whether she should be, but at the moment, that's just the reality. Now, the problem Democrats have, if they have a lot of big spending ideas, and you're not going to pay for it anywhere near all of it by wealth taxes and high marginal tax rates. They want to spend like Scandinavia, they're going to need to tax like Scandinavia, and that doesn't mean high corporate taxes or wealth taxes. It means a big, fat, value-added tax. Jared, when are you guys going to come out for that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's actually a lot of economists on both sides of the aisle. Lots of conservatives would like to go to a VAT. I personally don't see it in our future, but it does raise a boatload of revenues. Hey, listen, I want to take issue with something you said a second ago, Sarah, the idea that socialism equals redistribution. There has
I was
always
asking whether we should distinguish.
Okay, so we should definitely distinguish. There's never been an economy in the contemporary world that doesn't engage in some degree of redistribution, and both ways. So, for example, consider the Trump tax cut. To me, that looked like massive redistribution upwards. There's lots of other policies that redistribute downwards, but I don't think I take your question now. I misunderstood. I absolutely think that there's a distinction between what government is always doing, redistributing income, power, wealth, and socialism. Two very different things.
Jimmy,
I'm
as we
fine
move
with
into
redistribution.
Unfortunately, we're short on time today, guys. But as we move into this presidential season, it would seem that we're going to be discussing this a lot in the broader context of how are you going to attack income inequality in this country? What is the way to do it? Whether it's a 70% marginal tax rate over 10 million, whether it's some sort of strange tax on your estate, or whatever it might be. I mean, am I wrong, or is this gaining currency broadly in terms of at least an issue?
You are correct.
Well, thank you, Jared. Jimmy, what do you think?
I think it's gaining currency on the left, but we don't have a wealth inequality crisis in the country. What we have is a crisis of an economy that over the long term doesn't look like it can grow much over 1.5%. That's the crisis, and there's been zero thought to the trade-offs of these higher taxes on economic growth.
Very quickly to both of you, President Trump linked the investigations into himself and the administration as a threat to the economy. Jimmy, is that right?
Only if we don't have law and order in this country. We have to have rule of law, and we're going to investigate things. But I think the uncertainty, it is an uncertainty tax what's going to happen both with China and with this Mueller investigation. But we'll let it play out. That's what we do in this country. We have laws and rules, and that's just the way it goes. I
mean, stipulating Jimmy's point, I think the president is wrong about that, and I think history shows that you can have investigations and robust growth. Nobody ever decided
1990s.
Nobody ever.
1990s.
Good
big
point.
Growth.
Nobody ever decided, not to buy a house or a car because somebody's being investigated. So putting aside Jimmy's very good points about uncertainty, the president's wrong about that.
I don't know. Watergate hit consumer confidence in the market.
Watergate.
We had the world's biggest boom. We had a huge boom during the Clinton investigation.
Exactly.
We had an oil
You can't cherry pick.
right in the middle of it all.
You got to be careful not to cherry pick your data points here.